Hello, and welcome back to Mr. B Teaches History. Today's lecture will focus on the characteristics of the progressive groups and people who attempted to reform American society due to the excesses of the Gilded Age. Progressives advocated for a larger role of government in society and more democratic processes, much like the Gilded Age reformers, but they were more successful. Middle-class Americans were alarmed by the fast and revolutionary changes of industrialization, the power of big business, the uncertainty of the economy cycles, the increased gap between the rich and the poor, violent conflicts between management and labor, and the dominance of political machines in cities. These progressives built on the work of populist reformers and union activists of the Gilded Age and enacted major regulatory laws in local, state, and the federal government. World War I diverted the public's attention away from these domestic issues and brought about an end to the era. Progressives were a diverse group of people who worked for different reforms but shared the basic beliefs. First, society needed to limit the power of big business, improve democracy, and strengthen social justice. 2, government at all levels was the proper way to make these changes. 3, that moderate reforms were better than radical ones, usually. They believed in, like all the reformers that came before in U.S. history, democratic values, honest government, and just laws to improve people's lives. These progressives practiced pragmatism that argued that citizens and institutions should experiment and test ideas and laws until they found ones that would produce a better functioning society. They challenged fixed ideas like the application of natural selection from Charles Darwin's theory of evolution to justify the accumulation of great wealth and free market capitalism because it no longer seemed viable in modern society dominated by a few complex business organizations and wealthy individuals. They also believed that government could be made better if placed in the hands of experts and managers instead of political party bosses because it was undemocratic, inefficient, and corrupt. These progressives came from several groups of people. First, the men and women in the growing urban middle class who were working white-collar office jobs. These businessmen and professionals took civic responsibility seriously and were well-versed in the methods and findings of new social services. They belonged to national organizations and associations that provided strong lobbying groups to address corrupt businesses and governmental practices and urban, social, and economic problems. Secondly, Protestant churches preached against vice and taught social responsibility, including caring for the less fortunate in response to the problems of urban poverty, known as the social gospel. These Protestants were usually native-born from old families of elites who felt their role in society was being replaced by wealthy industrialists and political machines. They also developed strong leadership to bring together the diverse forces of reform. Middle-class readers were attracted to reports and in-depth investigative articles about business and political corruption, written by publishers called muckrakers. They originated from the articles written by Henry DeMarcus Lloyd in 1881, who exposed the corrupt policies of Standard Oil, the railroads, and other monopolies. These articles combined careful research with sensationalism, and the different authors tried to outdo each other with ever more shocking stories of political and economic corruption. Most popular series of articles were published into books, but others wrote novels that were more influential than journalistic accounts. Muckraking started to decline after 1910 for several reasons. First, writers had a harder and harder time topping the sensationalism of their last story. Secondly, expanding publishers had to tone down their treatment of business because of economic pressures from banks and advertisers. Thirdly, corporations developed the field of public relations since they became more aware of their public image.
If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or clarifications you would like to make about this lecture, please leave a comment below. If you learned something new, please consider leaving a like. If you would like to receive notifications of more content like this, please consider subscribing and ringing the notification bell. If you would like to support this channel and creator financially, please check out the links in the description for merchandise or sites that will provide me direct financial support for the work of this channel. Thank you for your time and have a great day. Class dismissed.